And welcome to Let's Play Skyrim! Okay, so we're back here in High Hrothgar.
Sounds good.
And, I was just complaining about the lack of bathrooms in this game. You remember from the last video?
You know that.
I'm just picking up my guys, and we're gonna head back down to Ivarstead and continue on with this game. Incidentally, today's video is 23 minutes and 23 seconds long, with 18 milliseconds. If only I could have found a way to add 5 milliseconds. It would have been 23, 23, 23. And judging by the looks of things outside, to get myself back on task here, it looks pretty darn cold out. And even though I'm warm now, I spent some time warming up before I left, it's really dark out, and it's nighttime, and it looks really cold, and frankly, traveling during the night doesn't seem like a good idea. Just so for good role-playing reasons, I'm gonna go back inside, and we're gonna head over, see if we can find a place to sleep. Speaking of good role-playing, I suppose what I would do under the best circumstances here would be find like a bed or a couple benches we could just crash at here in this temple. It looks very warm. And I looked around for such a place, and I didn't find any beds or anything. But the truth is, you can't build, at least I was having trouble, maybe you can, but I figured somehow that I couldn't, maybe I'm wrong, build a fire inside and have a tent and sleep and all that, and without a tent to sleep in, you know, I'm literally just going to be sitting there, getting tired, laying on the floor for God knows how. It'd be like sleeping on a concrete floor, except I wouldn't be sleeping. The game would not consider it sleep. So I decided to go outside and make myself a tent with a bedroll and all that, pursuant to the Frostfall mod. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm gathering firewood, blah blah blah. We're gonna build a fire and put up a tent, and slightly unrealistically sleep outside, even though from a realistic role-playing standpoint, we almost certainly would have just crashed in the corner in the temple inside somewhere. That being said, I suppose from a role-playing perspective, you could almost imagine maybe the monks of this temple having some sort of prohibition against outsiders sleeping there. And look how cold I am there. I'm near death, really. I'm pretty hypothermic, so glad I'm putting this fire up when I am.
Until we get what we came for.
Okay, that immediately keeps me from dying, which is the good news. And I skipped ahead a little bit because I was having trouble with... I had to get the tent from Hjormir here. He's got the tent in his inventory, so I'm going to grab that. I'm going to kind of skip ahead there, grab that. And we're going to go ahead and put the tent up. This is my first time using a tent, and it took me a minute to figure it out. But you go into your inventory and you click on the tent, and then it's going to come up with this. You either say pitch tent or drop tent. Go to pick pitch tent, and then you got to find a place for it. You want to make sure the tent is glowing yellow when you put it up, because the blue does not get the heat from the fire. So you want it to have the heat from the fire. And I see that's going to be a good spot right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pitch it right there. And it takes just a minute to put up, but that should be warm enough to keep me alive. One thing that the game doesn't do, and maybe there's a mod for this, maybe I should check it out, and perhaps it's because my tent is so small, is it doesn't allow my companions to jump in there and snuggle up as one would do in a survival situation. So I'm going to go ahead and hop in the... is this a leather tent? I believe it's a leather tent. So it's good at repelling rain, but it's bad at retaining heat, I guess. Let me try this again here. Okay. I guess I'm going to go ahead and sleep. And note that when I went to sleep here, I was just slightly on the cold side of the heat meter. I'm going to do about 6 hours. I'm going to kind of skip ahead here. Having rested, it says I awaken feeling rested, but I'm carrying too much. So something else is wrong that's causing me not to be able to carry my stuff. But as you can see, my heat meter hasn't changed much at all, so it's been pretty stable. And I think that's fine. As I get up, you can see I put my helmet back on, but then, you know, there's a copy of my helmet laying there, and there's other stuff inside that looks like my gear.
False alarm.
Although it would appear that I'm wearing my gear, too. Go ahead and start by destroying the fire.
Things are safe.
I wonder how long that fire lasted. It was out by the time I woke up. See, I can take this helmet, but I'm already wearing it, it looks like. So that looks like a bug. Not sure if that's a common Frostfall bug or what. I'll have to look that up. But I'm going to go ahead and pack up the tent now. And there's some gear laying there. If I could get extra copies of these magical items, that'd be really cool. although cheap and something that's not good role-playing. Well, I guess I'm packing up still, or doing something. Was I just sitting by the fire? I don't know. It says the heat is faint. Well, one thing's for sure, I'm going to have to make myself a fur tent in the near future, because that tent was good, but not great, because it didn't retain a lot of the heat. So, anywho. But I'm obviously having some issues with carrying capacity here. I think it might be hunger and thirst related, so I'm going to go check on that real quick. Yeah, so my magical status is dehydrated and starving. So yeah, let's have a bite to eat and something to drink real quick before we carry on. Grab, unfortunately a lot of my meat and stuff is still raw and I mean, you can eat it raw. Actually, up here in this cold area, you know, realistically speaking, it would probably be preserved. And it was very common, for example, for the Inuit people to eat raw meat. I mean, there's no point necessarily in cooking it if it's that cold. But that being said, I'm not going to take my chances. I'm going to try to eat things that are cooked for the most part, or, you know, things that don't require cooking. I'm going to grab some drink as well. I'm no longer thirsty and I'm full. Okay, perfect. So I should be able to run again now. So yeah, exactly. We're good to go. Okay, so let's head on down to, well, let's go inside. And I am still a little bit cold, so I am going to take a minute. It's about 9:45 here. And as you can see inside, I wait about an hour warm up. And here it is at 11 o'clock, having spent an hour warming up before our journey. Again, a very realistic aspect of the Frostfall mod is that you do have to spend a little bit of extra time just staying warm and whatnot. And as you can see, by the way, if you remember from yesterday, the snowstorm appears to have picked up on this mountaintop. It's really cool graphics. It's definitely blizzardy and looks just dastardly cold out, so my goal is to run down this mountain as quickly as possible so I don't die of hypothermia. I am wearing a nice warm cloak and fur bag and armor and stuff, so, you know, I am protected from the elements to some degree, but still, no reason to dilly-dally. And, you know, the other nice thing, I guess, if you want to think of it this way, is that given the fact that I'm going down the mountain this time, theoretically it's getting warmer the lower in altitude I get, so I can kind of use that as my motivation to get down the mountain faster, as it's going to get warmer faster. I can personally attest to that observation. One time I was in Hawaii on the island of Maui, and I was at the Haleakala volcano crater, watching the sunrise above the ocean, which is a magical experience if you've never done it. Very high altitude, extremely cold in the morning, like snow cold, and in Hawaii that's just crazy to think about. It was like 35 degrees or something, really cold. And then, you know, the sun came out and it warmed up right away to like 45 degrees. And then we drove down the mountain, and of course by the time we got to the bottom it was, you know, 97 and humid and just delightful. So, not that we're going to be experiencing the tropics here in Skyrim, although there are some mods that do that. This mountain, at the very least, we're going to get back to a sort of, you know, 44-degree, rainy, temperate zone instead of this snowy, 12-degree, blizzardy zone. I mean, this is a very tall mountain, and the fact that we scale it on foot should not undermine our estimation of its height. I wonder if you scaled this thing in real life, how tall it would be, actually. I wonder if anybody's ever done that. I'm going to look that up. While I'm recording this, I'm just going to pull up my internet browser. Hopefully it doesn't distract from my commentary too much, but I'm going to try to figure out how tall the mountain would be in real life, so bear with me here. Is it called the Throat of the World? Oh, wow. Okay, and while I was looking that up, we apparently got attacked by an electricity monster. And, okay, dragon. Jesus Christ. Where did he come from? Oh, wow. And he's just zapping my guys. And I'm shooting at him, and it's not doing hardly anything. And I don't know if he's regenerating or what, but my arrows are virtually ineffective. Jormir's almost down for the count. He's staggering there, and I'm staggering, and my other guy is... I can't remember my other guy's name, but... Oh, and I died. And not only did I die, I got tossed off the mountain, dropping my bow there. Such a realistic death, other than how light the ragdoll is. I decided, in retrospect, to adjust my Dangerous Dragon mod settings and nerf my dragons just a hair, at least at this stage of the game. I guess because, well, I guess if you think about some of the other mods that I'm using and my expert difficulty setting there, the truth is having really dangerous dragons only works if I have some really cheap technique to kill them. So I'm going to wait to turn on the really expert tough dragons until a little bit later in the game. I'm just going to keep a healthy medium between the default vanilla settings, which are 0, and a slightly beefed up level, which is going to be here. So we're talking like an average of 29 or 30% across the board stat increases for the dragons, just to keep it a little bit more spicy, because that first dragon was just way too easy. And then again, I think I was on adept difficulty at the time or something, so we're on expert now, and we should be in better shape. Okay, so I found this interesting forum about the actual height of, and I had to reload, so I'm a few paces back here on the mountain, so hopefully we can respond better to the dragon. Hopefully he's a little more easy to kill this time. Okay, so found this forum about the actual height of the Throat of the World mountain, and if Skyrim's sea level is a reference point, you know, and I'm not sure where Ivarstead is from sea level.
My mother's
but
sweet.
One person brings up
She
a really
passes on my
interesting,
tales to the townsfolk as if they were true. I don't
a really
mind,
interesting
seeing as
calculation,
they someday will be.
and that is that if each step, you know, if you look at these steps and you kind of ballpark them as being about a foot, which is probably a little generous, but given the fact that there's a lot of this sort of ramp area in between the steps like this, right there you see, and there's supposedly 7,000 of them, we're talking about, you know, 7,000 feet or so, with maybe a little deduction for the fact that there are some steps that go back in a downward direction. So 7,000 feet from Ivarstead. And if you do the calculation on that, that's over a mile high. 1.3 miles, give or take. Well, you know, I'm walking, and I apologize for the awkward gap there. Walking along here, and I'm not seeing this dragon, and definitely, you can tell I'm looking for it here, but not seeing him this time. So I don't know, maybe he's on the other side of the mountain, or maybe I missed him this time or something, or maybe it's a random encounter. Oh yeah, and the 7,000 steps only goes up to High Hrothgar. It doesn't go up to the top of the mountain. That's a good point too. It's a very inaccurate measurement using the steps. I guess the conclusion of this forum is that nobody precisely knows, although I think the guessing based on the step size was really interesting. Let me see if there's another one. Oh, you know what? I came across this other discussion on these, and I've obviously entered the more temperate area here, so I'm pleased that, and you can, if you go back and look at my exposure there, you can see that I was clearly in a colder area for a while, and now you can see the exposure thing in the middle just turned yellow, which means it's a little warmer. And I think there was a little message that said the snow had turned into freezing rain at one point, which was nice, and now we're just getting back into Ivarstead. So, anyway, but I was reading this other discussion. It says there are actually only 748 steps. But it's not really referenced on this forum, so I wouldn't necessarily believe that. I guess that makes sense, because I really didn't feel like I had climbed 7,000 feet.
You know your deeds, and I'm honored to address a member of the companions.
Never settle down to have children.
What else would you have me do?
Daughter's driving me crazy.
I know your sights.
Truth is,
Forgive me if
I
I'm
think
a bit
that
hungry.
mountain
But
is
for now,
probably not nearly as
you must be
high
another
as a
pilgrim.
real-life mountain would
Honest
be,
pay for honest work.
necessarily.
Get out of town as fast as you
But
can.
Sure.
Nothing
please.
for anyone.
Everyone
Oh,
else?
you're a traveler. You must have so much to
Frustrating.
tell
I've been
about the
looking for you
world
to talk.
outside
Got
this
something I'm
fort.
supposed to deliver.
What is it now?
Your hands only.
I wish I
Wilhelm
could
said he
go
saw you
with you.
speaking.
Let's see here.
Well, sorry, guys. I'm just reading
Moving up in the
furiously
world,
about
eh?
the height of the
Looks like that's
throat of
it.
the world, and I
Got to go.
realize my commentary is probably suffering.
For a
In the
moment.
meantime, the video of my guys
Well,
just
it
circling
stops
around
now.
in a circle. I guess I'm gonna harvest some cabbage or something here. Some interesting guys approaching me with helmets on. I'm not sure what that's about.
You
Okay,
there.
according to...
You're the one they call Dragonborn.
I'll tell you in a minute. Okay, these
Then
guys
it
are
is
asking me
too
if I'm
late.
Dragonborn.
The lie has already taken root in the hearts
Okay,
of
that's
men.
a good sign. They're describing
So
my
we shall
heritage as a
expose
lie.
to them the falseness in their hearts by tearing
And they're saying
out
it's a good thing the
yours
lie hasn't
to
spread.
see
We are
fire.
just in time.
When
That's a
Lord
bad
Mirac
sign.
appears, all shall bear witness. None shall stand to oppose him.
Okay, well, they're attacking me, so I guess I'll have to kill them now. And I've got a bow, and I was woefully unprepared for this battle. But I got a new quest, find out who sent the cultists. So I will do that once I kill these guys. But it's nice to see that all of the villagers are pitching in and killing them. I could just kind of sit back and wait. In fact, that's... even if I didn't want to do that, that's basically what I just did. Go ahead and loot them, though. While I'm looting them, let me turn back to my discussion. The actual elevation of the mountain in the game is 766.5 meters, roughly half a mile tall. This is supposed to be the tallest mountain in Tamriel. However, you know, if you compare that mountain to the state with the flattest mountain in the United States, North Dakota, which has a butte stretching 1,069 meters above sea level, the third of the world, 766.5 meters above sea level, is not very impressive at all. Not at all. You know, that's really
I have to
interesting.
wonder,
And somebody did a calculation using
Dragonborn do
coordinates here.
once he's summoned
Hope
by
you all
the
find this
Greybeards?
discussion as
Good day.
fascinating as I do. I mean, I'm literally looking it up as I'm commentating. And I'm really not doing anything that important in the video, so I think it's good good covering commentary. But
Nope.
I'm going to go talk to some people. And
Nothing.
by the way, I think I cut out part of this, and I apologize. The courier there handed me a note earlier, and I will read that in a bit, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew he handed me a note, and you should get that note if you're playing along at home, I guess. Anyway, so let me get back to this elevation issue. So clearly what's going on here. By the way, Narfi is still crazy. Nothing new here. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. The throat of the world is supposed to be the tallest mountain in Skyrim. It's supposed to be humongous. It's supposed to be probably, 3 miles high or something like that. It's supposed to be really high.
Say goodbye.
You know,
I miss Rada. She was so nice to Narfi.
Mount Everest is 8,848 meters.
This is her.
Um,
Come home soon.
You know,
Very
if it had 7,000
soon.
steps,
Soon,
the
like a
throat of the
moon.
world would probably be something like, 2,000 meters.
Ah, good
plus.
to see you
So,
again. How'd that-
realistically
Quite a
speaking,
climb, wasn't it? Anyway, much appreciated.
realistically speaking,
Here, take
what
this for your
happened here is it
troubles.
just wasn't practical to have a mountain that tall in the game because it would just be huge, and
Thanks
it would
again
look
for the
so
legwork.
strange if it was that tall in the with the lateral distance that we're given to work with. So it's significantly smaller than it really would be in real life,
I've climbed the 7,000.
but the lore is that it's really hot, really
don't
tall,
look like a
and they make it
pilgrim.
seem like it's really
We
tall.
don't get many visitors
And
through here,
Unless they're headed up to
you're supposed to feel like it's really tall, even if they can't express that completely in the
anything I
context of
can
the video
get you,
game. So again,
just
it's
let me know.
766.5
pass
meters
through
tall,
again, stop
in
by for a
contrast to
drink.
Mount Everest, which is 8,848 meters tall. Every single state in the country has a taller geographical feature, apparently.
I
So,
think I saw it again. That ghost. It was over by the barrows.
You're always thirsty, just like you're always drunk.
there.
Now let me get back
I'm
to my
sorry.
rounds.
I was curious. I didn't believe the stories. I won't go over there ever again.
See that you don't. I promise to keep you safe.
Speak.
I'm not going
there's an
to
interesting
break my word.
additional discussion here
boring
on the
conversation.
forum about prominence versus height above sea level.
The Greybeards have
Um,
summoned the Dragonborn to High Hrothgar. Such a thing has not happened for hundreds of years.
Basically saying that the distance from
A blessing.
the elevation
Yes, I
of
haven't got all
Whiterun
day.
to the top of the Throat of the World is roughly 700 meters, whereas this butte that I was referencing in North Dakota that was 1,069 meters tall was from sea level, but the prominence of White Butte is only 166 meters, so
Sorry.
clearly the Throat of the World is much taller than anything in North Dakota, at least from the standpoint of an appearance. By the way, I'm going to read that note from the cultist. It says, I figure out who the cultists are, and I have to travel to Solstheim to pursue that, so that's a new quest there. Also, while I'm looking at these documents, I'm going to read a couple other things that I found. The note from the courier, just start me a new quest here. Yep, so I have to go to Falkreath and talk to the dude there. New quest, and I'm going to read a couple other things that I haven't done either, but... Okay. Oh, you know what? I looked up this dragon. I found this really interesting forum about the Throat of the World. And it turns out the dragon that killed me there was a dragon that can't die without using the console, without cheating, basically. Its name is Odaving, I think. Anyway, so that's good to know that I wasn't just being a wuss. I probably need to turn up the Dangerous Dragons mod now that I know that that was an invincible dragon. Apparently there's such a thing as an invincible dragon. But anyway, I think my discussion of the Throat of the World was fascinating, and, you know, I read those things. By the way, did you notice earlier I gave those supplies back to the dude who told me to take the supply? I mean, I turned in this, give the supplies quest to the dude. So I got that turned in. And now, with the very short time we have remaining in the video, we're going to go and start to get
Skyrim
close
will
to starting
never
our
bow
next
to the
quest.
Palmor.
I hope you enjoyed my discussion of the Throat of the World, and I hope you enjoyed the video in general, and as always, I thank you for watching, and just remember, Professor Snuggles is looking out for you. We'll see you next time on Let's Play Skyrim!